All right, guys, we are live. This is What the Health Wednesday. My name is Rachel Picard. I'm one of the admins here for My Life Vantage Story, and I am so excited to dive into this topic because I don't know if you're anything like the 70% of Americans that are maybe have like a weight loss goal or a metabolism goal, or maybe you just want to look and feel your best. Maybe you're frustrated as you age. It doesn't seem to be as easy to kind of fit in the same high school size jeans. Maybe you're having brain fog and you're wanting to know what is going on. I feel like I'm doing all the right things. Well, I have an expert here for you today to learn all about detoxification and activation and why focusing on these things can be the key to optimize your metabolism, burn more fat, and increase cellular energy. So Alyssa, LaScala, I'm so excited that you're here. I'm gonna share your rap sheet. People who've been in this group for a while, they know and love your advice and the value you've given. Alyssa is an integrative health practitioner. Her mission is to help individuals learn to identify and address the root cause of their health challenges. So Alyssa's journey has been insane over the last 20 plus years, battling IBS, leaky gut, hypothyroidism, Lyme disease. She's a Lyme warrior, mold illness, and more. Alyssa has learned firsthand how broken our conventional medical system is, and that she's made it her life work to really help people get to the root cause, what she calls a root cause revolution in this health space. So I am so excited, Alyssa. I've seen you, get better and improve in so many different ways, but I've also seen you touch the lives of thousands of your clients, and you stand by Life Vantage. You've been now promoting and endorsing and using the Life Vantage products for 7 years. So maybe before we dive into the first question, I'm going to throw you on a curveball. What attracted you here? Why of all the supplements that you could choose as an IMP, like, or IHP, why would you say this is what I'm going to put my name on?
Yeah. Honestly, you know how much I geek out on the science. And so when I saw that, when you and Patty had started to share this product line with me, I didn't think it was going to be as good as you guys said it was, right? And so there's so much fluff that's out there. And so for me, it's really important to not just go off of the hype, but I wanted to be able to learn more about the studies and the fact that they were peer-reviewed studies on PubMed. I just went study after study and video after video diving in. And if just one product could have that, and then they carried that over into the entire other line to start to carry over that cellular activation, the nerve to activation, I knew it's where I wanted to be. It took me less than 24 hours to decide. So
same. I geeked out on the science and I was like, are you kidding me? And that was back when we only had our little yellow pill, which was like really per tandem nerve 2. And now we've got this whole host of activation methods. So question number 1, I think that it's pretty clear. You and I talk about calories in, calories out, or now they call it psycho, which it is psycho to think that like weight loss is strictly just an energy metrics. Like it isn't. And so the old adage of just, okay, eat less and move more, eat a little bit less, burn more calories. That's going to help, boost your metabolism. We're realizing that that's nonsense now because our body is more burdened than ever, right? We are more stressed out. We have more oxidative stress, which is more of the cellular damage and inflammation. We're super toxic. And so I want you to talk about how living in today's day and age, how is our life and our earth and everything kind of working against us on our waistlines and our energy and just total health and vitality? Oh, you're muted for some reason. I'm trying to unmute.
I had to mute. We talked about this right before, and
Was
I was like, I had to mute myself. And then of course I have my little palm cheese sitting here. The dogs are deciding that they are hungry while I'm here, so their metabolisms are kicking. They're on pet tandem. But yeah, I mean, it is just, it's honestly, it's almost impossible anymore to just do the calories in versus calories out. And while I think it's important to look at the energy we're expending versus the energy that we are taking in through food and everything else, I have client after client, day after day, come in and they're frustrated because they are doing that, or they're in this caloric deficit and they're so frustrated. And I have to help them understand, listen, the body loves to store toxins. within fat to protect yourself, to protect your brain from having toxins exposed to your brain, and go through some of those examples like that. And some people will say, okay, well, I feel like I eat pretty clean, or I drink some filtered water, but it's so much more than that. So if we're looking at the ways that we're exposed, I mean, we have toxins in our air constantly. We have the water that is just, I mean, hashtag fluoride and everything else that's in there, everything that's in our food, even organic food. You have Roundup and pesticides that stay in soil for over 40 plus years, and people don't realize that, even in organic farming. You have the Wi-Fi shooting through us everywhere we go. So for somebody to think that food alone is enough to keep them healthy, but to then think, oh, I'll just do a caloric deficit and that'll be enough. It's just not the case anymore. We have to come to terms with it. It's not going anywhere.
And some people, like, yeah, they track on MyFitnessPal and they get into a deficit and they lose weight. And you're right, there is a section of people that have a lot of underlying health issues. That just kind of stood out to me, what you said, that we store toxins in our fat, and that's a protective mechanism. So when we're thinking about that, then we've got to reduce our toxicity, right? So and obviously we want to do that for other reasons. Why would we want to reduce our toxicity? To reduce our chance of like mental degradation, cognitive decline. We want to reduce our toxicity for reducing certain types of cancer and other like degenerative diseases, right? Premature aging, right? So all these, toxins are going to help obviously age us much faster, which none of us want. But when we're thinking about releasing that burden, what are some of your favorite methods, whether it be modalities or some of the supplements or activators that you recommend to your clients? How in this world where we're constantly getting EMF, 5G, Wi-Fi, fluoride, chlorine, formaldehyde, all these things, like, I mean, we're literally living in a very, very toxic world. How do we get it out of us?
Yeah. And just to give people an idea, if someone hasn't heard this stat, when you have babies, the average amount of toxins in an umbilical cord is over 350. Like, we live in a toxic world. They're not even here yet. And they have that in their system, right? So I love that. I love mamas that like activate during pregnancy. I mean, it's just, we've seen it be phenomenal. But my first thing is to help people to understand that avoidance does matter, because we can detox till the cows come home. But if you keep detoxing just to retox, it's like, we just keep playing this game. Some things are totally unavoidable, but when you're looking at ways to be able to avoid toxins in your personal care products, I love that LifeVantage takes a very strong stance on trying to make it as clean as possible. They're on like the EWG app.
The Think Dirty app. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Think Dirty app. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go and look at these different softwares and whatnot that are out there that go and rate the cleanliness, but the Think Dirty is there for our skincare products for sure. Having cleaner air, cleaner food as best as you can, trying to do organic or wild caught, or at least what you guys have access to. And then cleaner filtered water. This is one of the biggest things that I think that people skip over. I would like someone to at least be using like a zero water filter or doing reverse osmosis, or I'm a huge fan of distilled. So there's a couple different methods there, but trying to reduce the exposure to begin with. And then for the stuff that's unavoidable, and I help people understand that, listen, you can live as clean of a life as possible, but unless you're living out in the boonies and you never meet anybody, like, it's impossible, right? So Nerf 2 was one of my first exposure 7 years ago to be like, wow, this covers so many bases. It is literally one of the most studied pathways out there. Any type of person, the functional medicine, integrative medicine, biohacking space is talking about Nerf 2. We have one of the most potent activators out there, and it's not taking much energy except to swallow it. So anything that we can do to make this process easier and it's cost effective is going to be something that someone can stay compliant to.
I think that and guys, if you're taking our hashtag little yellow pill or little yellow activator Protandim Nerf 2, guys, comment in the comments below what you've felt, what you've seen, what you've noticed. When we think of Protandim, when I first learned about it, my first initial, research, it was all about inflammation and reducing oxidative stress. But it wasn't until I went deeper that I realized how well it actually detoxifies the body. How does it do that? How does it work? Why is Protandim like one of the most important detoxifiers for us to take every day?
Yeah. Well, so one of my favorite stats that I love talking to clients about is the fact that it increases glutathione by over 300%, right? Which is huge. It's like this master antioxidant. You have glutathione injections, you have all these different things. But another thing that I often talk about on my social media for anyone that follows me is coffee enemas, which I love them to detox, but not everyone is about putting coffee up their butt. That increases glutathione as well. And it's very significant as far as how much it increases it. But I'm like, would you rather take the little yellow activator or do you want to stick coffee up your butt? Like, let's look at the effectiveness of these and what we're going to stick to. So that's always one of my favorite stats. But there are very minimal things out there that increase glutathione to the degree that ours does, in addition to SOD and, all these other survival enzymes.
Yeah, and compliance does matter, because if it is an uphill thing, one of the things at LifeVantage is like our branding team and our product researchers, they want our products to be obviously effective. There's an activation story, but they want them to be delightful. Now, I don't know, I've never done a coffee enema. Y'all have to get back to me on that. If you guys are willing to try it, maybe leave some poop emojis down. Yeah, we're talking about that. But I think it's one of those things where a lot of people now are realizing, yeah, whatever I need to do to kind of biohack my body, to produce some of these superhero enzymes, because especially with age, we start to see glutathione decrease into our 20s and 30s, and we'll see a reduction in these enzymes by 10% per decade. So by the time that you're 80, you're functioning probably on about an eighth, a ninth, a fraction of the amount. And we see that, right, Alyssa? We see that with older people, that they have a lot more health issues. They tend to gain a lot more weight. They get sicker easier, just cold and flus. And so that is in part because of our immune system, because of these enzymes, these superheroes, they're not in full capacity. So we heard a few ideas there. Other things that I think of for detoxifying, I mean, working out. You're a big fan of saunas. Do you want to talk just briefly about that, a little like red light therapy as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's the largest organ of the body is our skin. We forget about it, right? I think it's one of the easiest things. I love sauna. I have a little portable sauna where my head sticks out and I feel like you look like a Martian. But you have the different saunas that are at the gym. I just love that because it's easy. Again, it's passive. And so if you have access to that, that's great. I have one that has infrared light in that, really helps with the mitochondria. There's a million different benefits of that, but you also have something like Nerf1 and NAD that are benefiting the mitochondria and sirtuins. So we can get some there if you don't have the ability to stay compliant with a sauna. So yeah, that's definitely one of my other favorite things. You can do things like castor oil packs. You and I were just talking about that the other day. That's really simple. Dry brushing, even like breath work, and that's getting like the lymphatics flowing. All these things can really help move these drainage pathways that are responsible for getting the toxins out of the body.
So fat stores toxins. We got to get toxins out. And I love the fact we're talking about a few different ideas, because there's two types of people I find that are on these types of in our community. There's the people that want to do the things, and there's the people that want to just take things. They're like, just tell me the supplement, tell me the thing, I'm going to put it down the hatch and I'm good. But there's also people that are like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to go and research how to do a castor oil pack, or I'm willing to go and invest into like a personal sauna or things like that. In fact, fun fact, a really interesting fact, I just read a study this week that was saying that I think it was 20 minutes of sauna 3 times a week cuts your risk of heart death by like a heart attack or death, heart mortality by half. So just getting in a sauna a couple times a week, like post-workout, relaxing, it massively increases growth hormone, which is phenomenal when we think about lean body mass and keeping your body fat low, as well as all the other benefits of GH. So really good there. So this is not just about, guys, Protein. We do believe that this is a product that every single person needs to be on. If you guys have a weight loss goal, I mean, a lot of the Alyssa's clients that initially got attracted to her, it was because she has an amazing body and has a fitness competitor background. And, you've done all the shows and they look at you and they're like, yes, and I want to lose weight. And you help people rebuild their metabolisms. But at the same time, you're like, listen, I can't treat you if you're sick at a cellular level. I can give you the diet plan. But honey, if your cells are burdened and toxic, and if your immune system is whack and you're high inflammation or your cortisol is up to here, Alyssa, what diet plan is going to work?
No, none of it.
None of it. Let's talk about brain fog. We talk so often. I think it's one of a lesser talked about things with optimizing metabolism is our mood, is our brain energy, our focus, and our motivation. Talk to us about hacking that, or some of the modalities that you feel like I'm just not motivated to go to the gym, Alyssa. I'm just not motivated to meal prep. I'm just like you get apathetic, or like, oh, I'm just distracted and I forgot to go pick up that healthy food.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say that when it comes to brain health, the ability for it to be able to drain is important, and your brain drains in your sleep. So many people are like stepping over dollars to pick up pennies by going and getting all the supplements or doing all the things that we're talking about here, which great. We want you to try Nerve 2 and Axio and all these things. But if you're not sleeping, you're going to have minimal benefit after a certain point, right? So making sure that you're sleeping is ideal. Like for me, it's like at least a 7-hour thing. The nutrition, trying to, when we're looking at like lower inflammatory foods, trying to do as minimal sugar as possible. For me, I find with my clients, minimal dairy, especially cow's dairy, is going to be least inflammatory for most of my clients. Some people can get away with it, especially if it's more like raw. And then no gluten. Gluten with the brain, for a lot of people, it tends to be better to just go with some gluten-free grains that are out there. So those are some more foundational things.
But most people think of gluten and dairy for their stomach. Right. So this is a big, talk to us why would gluten, why would cheese, why would dairy, why would that affect brain fog and mood and motivation? And how could that like hinder our energy?
Yeah. So you have the gut brain connection, right? So if you're starting to have permeability within the gut, and there are studies that show that gluten, no matter what, even if you're not celiac, even if you're like, I have bread all the time and I'm fine and I have no symptoms, it can be tied to your joint pain. It can be tied to your brain fog. It can be tied to your thyroid. You have molecular mimicry, where when you start to have some of these different things within your system, you have tissue that kind of looks somewhat molecularly like gluten. So your body will start to go and attack those tissues. Rachel and I have read one really awesome book that was about that, The Autoimmune Fix by Dr. Brian. Yep. Love him. You introduced me to him, so I love it. But he talks very in detail about that type of thing. If you guys are really wanting like some legitimacy behind some of the claims that it sounds like I'm making here, but your gut and your brain are absolutely connected. And the more inflammation that you have, the harder it's going to really be to detox, to lose weight, to do anything. So that absolutely matters.
It is. I think that more people are starting to think about it, and it's starting to become a little bit more popular, but some still fail to realize that what you eat will affect your brain, and it'll affect how you process, and it'll affect your brain fog and even your moods. And I don't know about you, Alyssa. For me, I've joked all the time. I said, I've lost 150 pounds. And they're like, what? People look at me like, wow. And I'm like, no, I've lost 15 pounds 10 times. Now, I've been super blessed. I've lost like 18 pounds in LifeVantage. I've kept it off for years. And it feels incredible. Though, it was funny. It wasn't until I cut out gluten, and I was Hashimoto's. And I went to my doctor, and I was like, well, I had no problem. I was doing all the good gluten, Ezekiel bread, sprouted bread, all these things. And it wasn't bothering my stomach most of the time that I ever really noticed. But it was 8 months later, my complete thyroid panel was completely normal, and I had lost that 18 pounds. And so
amazing.
So for you guys that are just like, you just can't get over the hump when it comes to your weight or your energy, sometimes going a little bit stricter, getting a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter, or just avoiding kind of a food elimination plan and then just journal it, see how you feel, see how you do. Energy is a big deal, right? I think most of our customers and your clients, we want more energy. It's easy to grab the things on the go. What are your favorites, and what are the top brands to avoid if we want to optimize our brain health, our energy, and to lose weight? What are the absolute no-nos on the shelves, the drive-throughs for the energy fixes, and why?
Yeah, so I will just start out by saying the obvious. We're like, I'm an Axio addict. I literally have a packet sitting next to me whenever. And sometimes I'm like, I only need half right now. And I will like shake it to the bottom and then like sprinkle a half in and I keep it later. But that has been my favorite. And when I ended up testing positive for mycotoxins or mold toxins in my system back in 2019, I realized that coffee was one of the major sources of that. Many coffees. Now, there are brands out there that are certified organic and certified mycotoxin free. Just because it's organic does not mean it's automatically mold free. But I didn't even know that at that time. So I was like, forget it. I'm cutting out the Starbucks. I had done that daily. Horrible, horrible quality coffee for any. I know you guys love it and you'll still spend $10 on it, but it's still crappy quality coffee. And I switched over to Axio and I haven't gone back because I realized that due to the DMAE, the pine bark extract, the L-theanine for more sustained energy, and the magnesium, a lot of this stuff counterbalances the clean caffeine that we have in there, but it makes it more sustainable. And I don't think that it has as big of effect on myself and many of my clients as far as like the cortisol effect and then the crash that often comes afterwards.
Right. And we think about most of these drinks, whether they be Starbucks, sprayed with 8 different pesticides, by the way, it's been tested 8 different pesticides. But we also see things like Rock Stars, Bangs, Monsters, Red Bulls. A lot of these things are even just a normal like cappuccino or a Dunkin' or whatever. They are loaded with sugar, absolutely loaded with sugar. And if you guys are wanting to optimize your waistline and burn fat and build lean muscle, sugar would be, and if you want to protect your brain for the long term, you want to avoid things like type 2 diabetes, or now they're saying Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. You're wanting to reduce a lot of, cellular inflammation. Sugar causes a lot of that. And so, we love natural sugars. Alyssa, I'm a big fan of beets. I love carrots. I love fruit. I eat a banana every single day, the whole thing. I don't cut it in half. Like that thing is going down the hatch. But as far as taking 50 grams of sugar down because of a frappuccino, along with all the chemicals, it is literally, when I see a Starbucks cup with that logo, I'm like, that is a chemical shiz storm. It's just, like, if you guys, it is literally, your body does not know what to do. It's like, help, don't. It like extra nerve to that day that you decide to put Starbucks down the hatch. So Axio is a great, guys, if you're looking at some of the products that Alyssa is recommending here. So she's recommended so far Practitioner Nerve 2. That is going to be reducing oxidative stress and inflammation. For some of your clients, you do like NAD and Nerve 1, which is mitochondria support. That's going to be helping with cellular energy and repair, especially if you're over the age of 40. Sometimes when you're younger, your mitochondria still kind of doing pretty good. But if you're over the age of 40, we typically see more mitochondria dysfunction. And then Axio. So we have 2 major varieties of Axio. We have a caffeinated with 100 milligrams of clean caffeine in the good for the morning part of the day. And then of course, we want to make sure that we're cutting caffeine so you get that good sleep quality. Sleep is so key. I'd love to just go back to this one thing because I think we're in a season right now where everyone's thinking about weight and they're stressed out right now. This is a season of stress and obligations and family and travel. And so it's hard because all of a sudden you're staying up later, you're going to a party, you're going on a vacation, your sleep can get messed up, but it is so important for optimizing your metabolism and to live longer and feel better. Any tips you have for sleep hygiene?
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites. So I know that people do different intermittent fasting windows. We were talking about that the other day as well. So I don't know what someone's window is personally. I'm not the biggest fan of really long fasts specifically for women, but that's a whole other tangent that we could go down. When it comes to stopping food consumption before bed, I would say at least 2 hours prior to bed, stopping the food consumption as much as possible, making sure that you are, if you can, honestly, blackout curtains are one of the best things that you can use. I use a blindfold and I have earplugs in. Like when I'm out, I am out. So use anything that you can do to mitigate sound, mitigate noise. If you have little ones, just do the best that you can, but those have been really helpful. And then mitigating the EMF in the bedroom is super helpful. So there are a variety of different ways that you can do that. The free ways are for you to be able to go and turn your phone on airplane mode, or you have to go put it in another room if you need to leave it on. Not having any I'm not a big fan personally of like wearing watches and things that are emitting like EMF or connecting to Bluetooth at night. Anything that you can do to reduce any type of Wi-Fi.
Even have a Wi-Fi on a timer.
Timer
So
on the outlet. Yep.
yeah, in our house, the Wi-Fi goes off like around 11 p.m. and then it comes back on at 6 a.m.
Yep.
So we have that time for our bodies to do that. So these are really good things for your brain to clear itself, for your body to detoxify, and it affects all of your stress hormones so that you recover better, because then that's going to help with your metabolism. Any last thoughts when you're thinking about detoxification, activation, metabolism, anything that, you know, our listeners and viewers can kind of go and start to implement today?
I feel like one of the last things I would say is, first of all, be really honest with yourself about what you feel like you're able to do and put together an action plan. So what works for somebody else may not necessarily be feasible for you. You can go ahead and have this ideal plan, but if you're not going to stick to it, it doesn't matter, right? Which is why I really love using things like Nerve 2 and whatnot. And the last thing I'll do, and I know this is like super random, but if you're not pooping, make sure you're pooping at least one good bowel movement a day, if not more. I talk about this all the time on social media. I know it's uncomfortable for some people, but all the poop emojis, all the things, because you can be trying to detox with Nerf 2 and everything else. If you are not pooping regularly, it is not normal. So please make sure you poop.
Such great advice. We have a couple of we have a couple of gut health this kind of got into some gut stuff, but we got some gut health episodes coming up really soon on what the health. We're going to be talking about probiotics and prebiotics and postbiotics, and, you know, making good changes and how this, you know, guys, it's all this whole system. I loved as we close that you ended with do what you can and be honest with yourself. And sometimes it can be overwhelming because you're like, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do sauna, I need to sleep, I need to change. Start changing one thing a week or one thing a month. You know, one thing that I did to start mitigating toxins out of my life was just every time I went to the grocery store, went to Whole Foods, I got a different product that was a little bit better or a little bit more natural, or I slowly switched over my pans, you know, from like Teflon to something that had some more of a green coating. Those little things, they all add up. I slowly scrapped out candles and brought in essential oils, and, you know, all of that stuff tends to accumulate and add up. So thank you so much, Alyssa. Guys, if you loved this episode, short, sweet, some quick ideas of how you guys can optimize your metabolism, burn fat, and have more energy, tag people in the comments below, and we'll be back here next Wednesday with another guest expert to teach you guys everything about demystifying nutrition. So Alyssa, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you soon.